Well, this morning's morning medicine is antimonium crudum. Almost said arsenicosum, which is I did yesterday. And it's funny, I went over the etiologies. The first one was the mental stuff, the mental and emotional stuff. And this remedy just happens to be good for um, disappointment in love. And I think that was one of the categories: disappointment in love, and then the medicines that was with it. I wonder if crudum was on it. Anyways, it should have been. I don't know. It's harder. Anyways, yesterday my wife, she I asked her to come help me with some. She said, I can't quit throwing up. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went in, and right away, as soon as you hear that, it's with Ipecac. I mean, doctors would give Ipecac, I think, to make people throw up. Um, if they had poison or something, I think they used Ipecac in that manner. You'd give that to the person, and they'd throw up. So what a substance in a real substance will do to you homeopathically, it'll usually reverse that. So we give that to homeopathic ipecac to stop uh, throwing up. And I went and did everything. I come back and she said, "Oh, whew." I think it was an hour or two, maybe an hour or so. Anyways, I come back and she's like, "Oh, I'm not sweating anymore." And that. So did she have a flu, a fever, upset? Something she ate, the stomach. I don't know, but yeah, I got that out of my Indian emergency kit. I got that a lot of years ago. It's nice to have these kits around because then you got different medicines you can use. And 12C would be a good one to give. There's different within this kit. There's different potencies. For different medicines that they know these potencies work for for certain emergencies. That potency will take care of a majority of them. So, anyways, I hope I do this medicine justice. There's a lot to it. Antimonium crudum is preeminently a scrofulous medicine, which is scrofulous is when I looked it up. It says, and I know what it is. It's basically a tubercular miasm, but they say it's a tubercular form of the disease, something like that. And but it's tubercular miasm they have, corresponding to gross constitutions with tendency to rough scaling skin and horny patches. So they got warts, they got rough skin, they've got horny patches on their skin. The horny patches, when I looked that up, that's like just a rough spot from sun, and it gets dry and rough. And anyways, horny patches, buddy. Let's see. The skin horny patches. With those horny patches, okay, they can hardly bear to walk on them. So, if they got it on their feet, it's real hard to walk on them. Analogous to those horny excrescences are warts, and antimonium crudum has cured many cases of these. So, mainly one case in there is, oh, well, here's the case, anyways. Uh, a student 17 had 23 warts on the right hand. Man, that must have been a bummer. And 34 warts on the left hand, mainly on the backs and fingers, but a few on interior surface of fingers. In addition, you would think of thuja with all those warts, but in addition, inflammation of the eyelids. So the eyelids are all inflamed. Antimonium crudum 200x cured her of warts in 7 weeks. In the same category, maybe mention the tendency of the nails to grow in splits. So degeneration of the nails. They just split up and fall apart. Dr. M. Jowsett has recorded a severe case of chorea. I forget what the heck. Oh, that's movements. That's like, you know, the hand just wants to keep jerking or something to that effect, which resisted all the usual remedies and was cured with antimonium crudum, prescribed on the digestive symptoms. So these movements, a concomitant is it will no he just like the Indian doctor did. The guy had cancer in the ear. He prescribed on stomach symptoms. Same thing this doctor did. He prescribed on the digestive symptoms for this chorea or this movements. Almost like an epileptic type of thing. Cured wait. Okay, prescribed under particularly the characteristic white tongue. Now, that's why they look at the tongue. This white tongue is matted white. It's coated white. It painted white. It says it looks like antimonium crudum corresponds in a sense to the swine. Okay, so and this is interesting. As arsenicum does to the horse and pulsatilla to the sheep. So why they say that is the swine, uh, you know, you think of a pig, they overeat and that. Well, this person tends to overeat, even to make themselves sick. Arsenicum is horses are, they're just always moving. They're just like, and that's a arsenicum patient. They're moving around. They can't sit still. They're just either mentally or physically or both. They are agitated and they just can't sit still. And the sheep, pulsatilla, they're just, you know, docile is what that is basically. So that's what they're talking about. Antimonium crudum, especially suited to infants and children with coated, moist, white tongues. So that sounds like thrush. And also to elderly persons. Hydrogenoid constitutions. I don't know if that's like something to do with hydrogen, water. I ain't getting into that. Tendency to grow fat. It is a preeminently a scrofulous medicine, which is that tubercular miasm, gross constitutions with tendency to rough scaling skin with horny patches. Anyways, that is the two cases they were cured warts and anyways, antimonium crudum, sulfate of antimony, mental gastric symptoms, basically. Eats beyond capacity of digestion. That's a 3. Worse heat, Apis, pulsatilla, chamomile, sequoia, and camphor also has that worse heat. Why ain't sulfur in there? That's interesting. Worse cold, so they don't like either way. Mercury, you'd think they don't like heat, they don't like cold, like a thermometer. Cold bathing, heat, summer, sun, they don't like cold bathing. They can't get into any kind of, and I would imagine jumping into a pool would freak them out. Heat, summer, sun, they can't take that. Overeating, this is what they basically, that's a big one there. In effects, ill effects disappointed from disappointed love. That's what I was talking about. They have a grief, suppressed eruptions, overeating. There's overheating again. They just getting overheated. They can't take that. But this is that ill effects of disappointed loves that I talked about yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, it's on YouTube and on Facebook, my page or whatever. Where am I at? Excessive irritability and fretfulness. So they're just like miserable and they're spiteful and they just get away from me, don't touch me, and cannot bear to be touched or looked at. So don't look at me, don't touch me. They just can't take it. Inflation. So the abdomen is inflated from gas and the upsetness of everything going on down there. Violent cutting pains, flatus. They got a lot of gas with rumbling in the stomach, swells, and uh, swelling and a hard inguinal glands down in there. Their glands are swelling. And that's a scrofulous situation. Glands swell. Any kind of scrofulous person, the tubercular miasm, they would uh, their glands would swell, whichever, could be all of them, could be some of them, could be one of them. But this one is the inguinal, which is in the abdomen, that gland down there. Itching and pain in back, itching and pain, neck and back. There it is. Violent pain in smaller back and coccyx, it feels heavy. It just feels like something's pulling down on their coccyx. And as you'll see, they have anal situations going on too. But the neck and back are itchy and painful. There's a lot of itchiness with this medicine of the skin. A lot of skin stuff, stomach stuff, and this mind grief stuff is a big one. Let's see. Stifling oppression, shooting pain and when breathing, and there's the itching again on the back, the neck, the chest. Shooting pain on breathing. So when they breathe, it's like a sharp pain shoots up in there. Sharp and burning pain. Okay. Redness, swelling, and pain in the eustachian tubes in the ears. Doesn't say one side or the other. Ringing deafness. so they have a ringing in their ear and they have a deafness. Moist eruptions around the ear, and they're agglutinated, so they're like moist, and then they get sticky around the outside of the ear. Yeah, it doesn't say around the ear, but yeah, it could be behind it, could be on it. Canthi is raw, so this is the eye stuff. This is big eye medicine for a lot of this stuff. Fissured, chronic blepharitis, which is inflammation of the tear ducts. So they're having all kinds of inflammation and that going on up in here. That's all three. Dull, sunken, red itch, inflamed. So it's, yeah, they got a lot of eye problems going on, a lot of inflammation. The tear ducts are inflamed and they're probably not getting, yeah, I don't think they'd be getting a lot of moisture there. Yellow crusted eruptions on cheeks and chin. There's more skin stuff. So you get these crusted yellow eruptions on the cheeks and chin. Pimples, pustules, and boils. Sounds like a witch's brew. Pimples, pustules, and boils. Oh my. Sad. They are sad people. Probably the irritability thing. The loss of love, disappointment in love. And that, like you said, I talked about yesterday, that's a psoric miasm that we all have. And that miasm predisposes us to unhealthy attachments. So, you lose some, like I've lost a business. I mean, I didn't lose it. I was kind of glad it was gone, but I lost a business, and it was like ooh, what a shock. And, but okay, it's over. Now what's my next deal in life? What am I doing next? And then, I get a job. Oh, okay, I'll finally take a job. Tried starting some businesses, it wasn't happening. When God opens the doors, buddy, it opens. So I went into that job and I studied health coaching and, kept doing this stuff and, got to this point. So now this is my next thing in life. So didn't have, I mean, that was a 26-year business. It was good money, and yeah, but if I had an unhealthy attachment, I would have sat in a bed, depressed, upset, woe is me, and that, yeah. So yeah, thank goodness I was able to get through that. And that's why they say this psoric miasm sets up a unhealthy um, uh, expectation of others, even for like this disappointment in love. You don't Do you love yourself? Well, then you ought to get over the fact. Once you get over yourself, then someone will love you, trust me. Let's see. Excited genitals for the female, they itch. So when they're itchy, they're excited, and especially it's before menses. Oh, before menses they have a toothache. That's an interesting symptom. Leukorrhea is watery, acrid, and lumpy. Food desires acid, like pickles. Sounds like a pregnancy or a lady having a baby. Yeah, pregnancy, this situation. Desires to eat, but gets no strength from it. These are all threes with the food. So this is the stomach. Like I said, there's stomach stuff, there's eye stuff, there's a lot of mind stuff going on, and skin stuff. Let's see. Long-lasting, long-lasting loss of appetite with disgust for food. Sounds like an anorexia or whatever situation going on there. That's a three. Head aches from bathing in cold water. And like I said, when you look up some of these symptoms in the repertory, when you look them up, you'll get a few different medicines there. Then you have to use some of the other problems that their vital force is showing you to basically know which medicine would be the right one. So I look up loss of appetite, disgust for food. I'm sure there's some kind of rubric in there like that. And when I find that, I'll find a few different medicines. Then I got to go through and say, okay, which ones, bathing in cold water, they get headaches from it. Is there, might be one of them may say that like this, and that's the only one, and that's what they told me. Well, I can't go in polls, or I can't do this because, oh, the cold water, I get a headache when I do that. So if I heard that, then it would point me towards antimonium crudum. Or from disordered stomach. So there's the stomach stuff. They get a headache from this disordered stomach. They can't go near the cold water. It's worse in the vertex side of the heads. Itch with less hair with headache. So this is an interesting one. They say that it's interesting. They got an itchy head and their hair's falling out. So that's a like odd symptom that if that's happening, you know, antimonium crude would be a quite considered. Worst worst candy, wine, fruit, fat, uh, and I don't know why ascending stairs makes them worse in the stomach, or the headache. Sorry, yeah, yeah, because this disordered stomach from this stuff they're eating and taking in, and for some reason when they ascend stairs, go downstairs, that disordered stomach gives them the headache. Heaviness in forehead with vertigo, nausea, nosebleed. So yeah, so there's vertigo. They got nausea, vertigo, want to throw up with this headache, so it's, yeah. A lot of people, when they get that headache, it does feel like they do feel like they want to throw up. No heart, urine, turbid, foul, odor. So they got nasty smelling urine. It's dark colored, cutting in the urethra while urinating. So they've got this cutting pain, profuse urination with burning and backache. So they got this burning pain and a backache going on when they urinate, and there's cutting in the urethra, involuntary urination on coughing. So anybody that sneezes or coughs and squirts out a little bit of urine, antimonium crudum would be one of the considered remedies. Arthritic pain in joints of fingers. I gotta have some tea. Sorry, I'm drying out. I usually never try to do that, but for some reason, I think I might have had whatever she had. She was giving me because I coughed up some yellow stuff today too. All right, urethra cutting. Okay, arthritic pain in joints of fingers. So mainly the fingers, they get this arthritis. Feet very tender. I think it even is this the one. Well, can't use a pencil or a pen. Horny warts on hands and soles, as we went over. That guy got cured from that, but their feet are very tender. They got sores and that down there. Weakness and shaking of hands on writing. There it is. I knew I read that. I read so much of this stuff, I forget which one goes where sometimes. But yeah, when they're holding, they just they can't hold that pen. They can't write. This might be a good one for my mom. That's what she's going through. Arthritic pains in fingers and joints. Uh, Crippled feet. So I don't know why crippled feet. I guess because they can't walk on it. Because this does say they just have a terrible time walking on their feet. Cough. Worse, coming into warm rooms. So as soon as they come in, they start coughing. With burning. That's a 3. With burning sensation in chest. So there's that burning there and burning. Where was that other burning? Burning in the back. Was it the back? Anyways, uh, sensation in chest, expectoration large quantities, and it exhausts them. So they cough until they just keep up bringing up all this mucus, and it exhausts them. Male, eruptions on scrotum and genitals, impotence, atrophy of penis and testicles. So instead of a little blue pill, try some antimonium crudum. You won't have any side effects. Tongue coated thick and white. That's a 3. This is big. When someone comes in, let me see your tongue. That thing's totally coated white. You'd definitely be considered an antimonium crudum. And then if you find out they got these stomach problems, what they like to eat, different things like that, the headache with the stomach problems, yeah, the white tongue, that would be a definite. You got 3 of them right there. Grinds teeth. That's in the sleep, of course. Canker sores on the side of the mouth. Gums bleed easily. Chapped noses, chapped, covered with crusts. Eczema on nostrils. Eczema in nostrils, sore. I think that should be a comma. Eczema. Nostrils are sore, cracked, and scurfy. Scurfy. That sounds like that scrofula, the tubercular type of thing. They got these cracks on their nose, eczema up there. It's chapped with crusts and all that. That's all a 3. Diarrhea alternate. So if you're looking at a guy's nose, he's got this stuff going on. He maybe got a couple warts on the hands. He stick out your tongue. You got a white tongue. You got 3 things right there. Just like I did with my wife. She said, "Oh, I can't help you right now. I can't quit throwing up." Boom, Ipecac. Let's try it. 12C. Boom. And actually, she must have had a fever that might have caused her vital force to cause a fever to kill whatever it was that was in her. So I think that's interesting. Just that's why I say it could be just one thing that, once you know a medicine, and that's why I keep doing this, because a medicine. Once you know that medicine, you see that in a person, you're like, oh, I know what you need. And it doesn't take a whole day, a whole hour or two case of what your parents like and everything. you know, sometimes we confuse ourselves with all that stuff. Diarrhea alternates with constipation. So, either way, probably depending on where you're at in your sickness, your disease, or whatever, especially in old people. So they're alternating diarrhea and constipation. Mucus discharges from the anus. So this is a big one with hemorrhoids. These hemorrhoids really they're bad. They stain the any kind of underwears or whatever yellow. So these discharges, you got mucus coming out of the anus, the rectum. Sorry, yeah, and the hemorrhoids are, that's a 3 to hemorrhoids, staining yellow. So you're thinking of hemorrhoids, maybe antimonium crudum. It depends on what's going on. Like so on a call, I'm going on a call later with someone from the UK. The lady said, she put in a chat, my husband's got these um, hemorrhoids, and they're not there all the time. And, I think I asked her a question, what, are they, all I asked was, she gave a few things. They're not there all the time, but they come out and are, didn't say nothing about painful or anything, but I said, did they look like grapes? And she said, yeah, Aeschylus, because Aeschylus, that's what it says in there about it. They look like grapes hanging down. Give it a shot. It won't hurt, but it could help. And I'm going to be interested if she's on the call today to see if she probably spot me out and say, "Hey, that worked," or "You bum, it didn't work." Mucus oozes, catarrhoproctitis. So they got pros the pro. Anyways, back there they got a lot of stuff oozing out. Inflammation of anus. So they got an oozing catarrh. Catarrh's mucus. Proctitis is the proctology. That's the anus. Throw all these goofy words in there. Eczema with gastritis, gastric derangement, eczema. So they got skin stuff related to the stomach stuff too. So this is always good. We got skin stuff related to the stomach stuff, the headache, head stuff related to the stomach stuff, and of course, the stomach stuff related to the stomach stuff. Is that what it is? Yeah. So, anyways, uh, anytime there's a gastric derangement, you got to figure out what's going on. Or anytime there's a headache, you got to figure out where is it coming from. What is the problem? Urticaria, which is a skin uh, rash, basically. 3 measles-like eruptions, and warts. Warts is a 3. Thuja, sabina, seven, yeah, sabina, and causticum would be 3 you would consider with the warts. And itching when warm in bed, I would consider sulfur with that also. So, larynx, voice is hoarse and badly pitched. That's a 3. Hoarse, worse cold bath. So they don't like cold bath. We know that. Lost voice, becoming warm. So when they come into warm room or that, they start coughing and everything. Plus they lose their voice. Uh, the cold bath, that'll make them makes the hoarseness worse. But they have a their voice is hoarse and it's badly pitched, probably high tone like squeaks and stuff coming out. Drowsiness in elderly people, that's a 3. Desires to sleep during the day, that's a 3 for the elderly. Digestion disordered, loss of appetite. Every time I read this stuff, I think of somebody. Hey, I know somebody's going through that. Digestion is disordered, loss of appetite, constant belching. That's a 3. That's all that rumbling and all that gas going on. Bloated after eating. I don't know why they don't have. Okay, stools, hard. Okay, I'm into the stools now. Some reason they don't have up here. They overeat. We have that over here, right? Eats beyond capacity. Yeah. Huh, didn't put that over there. Okay. Stools, hard lumps mixed with watery discharge. Diarrhea alternates with constipation. They're chilly in a warm room, so they can't get warm. Intermittent fever with nausea. So the fever comes, the fever goes. The fever comes, the fever goes. It's a periodicity of it. Much thick yellow mucus from posterior sinuses, which is going down into the throat. So you're hawking up yellow mucus. You would consider antimonium crudum with a bunch of other medicines, I would imagine. You'd have to narrow it down. Confusion of head after long labor in cold. Oh, after they've been working out in the cold, they get confusion in their head and all that stuff. Dizziness with nausea or bleeding in the nose. That's that vertigo stuff going on. And they get these nosebleeds with all that. Okay, let me take another drink of this fluid. Just something's up with my throat today. I must have cut that. Yeah, because then when she come back in, she said, "Oh yeah, I'm done." I said, "Look, get away from me! I don't know what you got." So yeah, but I can't stay away from that little girl. Anyways, then I end up kissing her, and then I end up, I'm feeling like, oh man, I feel funny. I don't know why. Yeah, I know why. All right, so let's go to some more reading of antimonium tarp. This is a big one, man. It's a lot to it. It's one of the main ones that we do use for things like skin and stomach. And it's interesting that yesterday I went over that disappointed by love and what remedies were in there. I want to go back maybe and see if that I have antimonium crudum in there. In chest disorders of all kinds, it is indicated where there is a great accumulation of mucus with coarse rattling and inability to raise it. That almost sounds like Cali Bic. Because Cali Bic, you're always trying to get the mucus up too, and it's real thick in that. But it doesn't say thick mucus here, but it just say coarse rattling, and you can't hardly get it up. Okay, a characteristic of antimonium tarp in lung disorders is, and you think about tuberculosis, that was a lung disease, so that's why they got this tubercular miasm that sets them up, gives them the susceptibility to catch these flus, colds, and any kind of lung disorders. Lies with head back. Okay, and lung disorders is lies with head back. Oh, I'm in. Sorry, I overshot. I'm in antimonium tartum. I was wondering, that didn't seem right. It didn't seem right at all. But I did use antimonium tartum, as you've seen what I read there in, with COVID, and that's what was happening with people is they were, a lot of mucus rattling, but they could not get it up. So I I had used antimonium tartum on myself and made sure, because I did catch COVID, but yeah, it didn't. I mean, I had sweats and chills and sweats and chills, and I was worse from the shot. That shot, boy, me and my wife got real sick. All right, many nerve symptoms appear in the provings of antimonium crudum, not tartarium. And that tartarium, I don't know if I'll get to that by the end of the week, but it's coming up. Uh, but nerve symptoms appear in the provings: restlessness, jerking of muscles. That's that movement, that chorea, they called it, etc. So any kind of nerve symptoms, that's why there's, they get, they're breathing in, they get a sharp pain in their chest. That could be old nerve kind of things going on. But they have a jerking and a restlessness. Among special symptoms are the itching of scalp and falling out of hair. That's interesting. I wouldn't relate them to. Okay, tendency to take cold about head, scrofulous, ophthalmia, that's eye things, canthi, ophthalmia, canthi, that's all scrofulous eye stuff that I went over, especially affected. Graffitis, the whole margin of the eye, not just the canthi. Moist eruptions behind ears, slight noises, nosebleed, vertigo, headache from rush of blood to the head, gastric and remittent fevers, and fevers of children with great thirst, and the characteristic of a white tongue. The fever runs higher at night, the child is cross, but unlike the chamomile patient, which is what you'd usually give, you see a person that's, just can't please them. Patient who wants to be carried. This will scream and show temper. So the chamomile patient wants to be carried and they're screaming, and when they're carried, they're better. But they, and show temper at every little attention. So this one doesn't want no attention. Go away from me, get out of here. Don't touch me, don't look at me, don't be near me. There is a form of, let's see, in children with great thirst. Okay, there is a form of diarrhea which alternates with constipation, often found in old people, to which antimonium crudum corresponds. Stomach weak, this is a big one, this is like a 3. Stomach weak, digestion easily disturbed in old people. It cures many cases of hemorrhoids, continuous oozing, staining linen. Incontinence with the intolerance of wine, remedy, and all that, alcohol. No notable characteristic of antimonium crudum is the thickly coated tongue. and that's probably from the stomach stuff. And the nostrils have cracks and sores around the end, and so does the mouth. Abnormal hunger, not relieved by eating, so that's why they're overeating. Emptiness of epigastrium and want of animal heat, so they can't get warm. Discuss even in a warm room. Disgust for all foods. Nursing children. Refuses to nurse. Again, okay. Anyways, I'm not going to get all into that. But for nursing, good one for all that stuff. Sulfur-like element in it, pronounced provings as the constipation and other intestinal disorders of the drug. In spite of the worst from heat, there is great sensitive to cold. Hence, it is suitable to the hydrogenoid constitution, which is heat and cold. All right, that's enough. Hopefully, I did antimonium crudum justice. Too bad I went off onto the antimonium tart. Muraticum is tomorrow, and auratum, and then tartarium. So that all sounds great. But anyways, antimonium tart, that's the one I did use for COVID. It never got too far into my lungs, but you know, yeah. Anyways, that is morning medicine, antimonium crudum. You can age, but you don't have to get old. Oh man.